and had someone to ask you a question and you absolutely did not know what to say? This happens all of the time. And there's not a lot out there that talks about what should you say in a meeting. Heaven forbid it's a meeting that is a contentious meeting. Oh my goodness, then it's even harder to do. So if you've ever experienced this, this is the video for you. This is a live video, and I'm going to share with you 3 strategies that will help you to be able to appear confident under pressure, even if you don't know exactly what to say. Now, I'm going to share with you 3 strategies that I typically share with my one-on-one clients to support them and provide them with those next level, very sharp communication skills. Now, if you are a woman in leadership and you are at the very beginning of your leadership journey, this video is absolutely for you so that you can start preparing in advance. If you are a woman in leadership and perhaps you're seasoned, you've been in an executive role or you've been in a manager role for many years as a leader, this is for you because you know these situations come up. And I want you all to learn from my over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, a director, executive coach, and a public speaker to fast track your success and to help you communicate at that higher level than your peers. This is what I'm here to support you to do. So I want to thank everyone for joining the live today. And if you have any questions specifically, let me know. But there's 3 things that you really need to keep in mind when you are trying to communicate and be confident under pressure. So I'm going to go into them and do a quick overview, and then I'm going to actually go into a lot more detail on each of them. So the very first thing that you will need to do when you are trying to communicate under pressure and be very confident in how you're communicating, even if you don't know what to say, is to do what I've said many times before. You have to get information. The second thing that you're going to need to do is to watch what you say in terms of your response. And third, you're going to want to be mindful of how you say it. Now, if any of this sounds of interest to you, feel free to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you feel like you are learning something here. I hope that you are. And I want to know from you, what are some times that you've experienced, or when are some times that you have experienced some pressure when you have been trying to still appear confident? Let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Now, I'm going to go into each one of these, and as people are joining the live, I will make sure I say hello to you and just check in and say hi. But I do want to make sure that I'm optimizing as much of your time as possible so that you can really gain a lot of information from this. Now, the first thing that I mentioned in terms of a strategy for you to use if you're trying to appear confident under pressure is to get information, and not just get any information. You need to get information fast. Very fast. And the way that you can get information fast is to ask people. So for instance, if you are going to a meeting and someone asks you a question, you're not quite sure what the answer is, you probably have some idea of what the meeting is about in advance. So take a few moments to prepare for the meeting in advance and to determine specifically what it is that you may want to say if you are asked a question about a specific topic. It only takes just a few minutes for you to look at the topic that is going to be discussed. Now, if you're going into a meeting where you have absolutely no idea in terms of what is being said, that in itself can be very, 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 very stressful. And sometimes you just have to learn how to think on your feet. There is a live video here that talks about thinking on your feet. So make sure you check that out on my channel. I do a lot of lives. I've been very busy with lives. And so that video will absolutely help you be able to deal with those type of situations when they come up. But if you are not directly in the meeting, or perhaps you're about to go into one, then you want to reach out to the people that you know that can provide you with very trusted information. Now, I just appreciate you all for joining today. Hello, hello. Glad to see you all here today. And if you are ready to learn how to be confident under pressure, even if you don't know what to say, then this is a fine opportunity for you to go ahead and click the like button on this video so more people can see it, and subscribe, because this is what I talk about. I share real strategies, real world techniques, and real solutions to help you elevate how your next level. Now, I want to say hello, Frankie. Thank you for being here today. If you have any questions specifically as it relates to how to be confident under pressure, learn from my over 20 years of experience here as a C-suite executive, a manager, a director, a public speaker, and an executive coach to get to that next level of leadership on your journey. So I was talking about the very first strategy before we had people come in. And one of the things that came up that I want to share with you is being able to get information very, very fast. Now, before I go into more on about getting information fast to communicate under pressure, I do want to answer Frankie's questions. So the question that Frankie has is, I have a short fuse, 0 patience. What can I do? Well, that is a very good question. And especially if you have a short fuse, a lot of times you're probably a very high achiever. You have a lot of things that you're trying to work on, and you just don't have time to just listen to people just talk about random things. So when you have that situation come up, to appear confident under pressure, one of the things that has helped a lot of my clients to do is to take a few moments and just pause. So whatever that pause means to you, whether you have to step outside or whether you have to take a brief walk or just leave the building, do that first. Because if you can take just a few moments, Frankie, just a few moments just to pause for just a second before you just let that short fuse go, right? So you don't want to do that. Try to pause first. This will give you time to process what you are thinking in your mind and what you're feeling, and think about a way to say what you need to say, but say it in a very professional, very direct way. A lot of times when I work with clients that have very short fuses like that, they typically just go off emotion in this. The first thing they say is what they say. So try your best to just pause. Give yourself time, because if you have a short fuse, you're mentally trying to process things out loud. And sometimes if you just take that moment just to silence the voices in your head that are saying, just say what you need to say, that will allow you to appear as a very confident leader, because confident leaders can control themselves. They can control themselves when the situation is very friendly. They can control themselves when the situation is very contentious too. I've been in both situations, and I've seen how much you can elevate as a leader, especially when you have a very contentious situation come about, and the way you handle it and the way you speak about it is the best way for you to showcase yourself as that leader, and then be able to elevate in your career, get raises, promotions, start your business, and do things like that. So I hope that answers your question. Absolutely. I hope it does. Frankie said, thanks, I will do that. Yes, it's hard. I mean, it's especially when you are very strict with time, it is difficult, but sometimes you just have to just take that moment. And Frankie, you know what that is for you better than anybody else, whatever that timeout is for you. For me personally, I'm so used to dealing with a lot of contentious situations at once, so I don't need timeout as much. But before, when I was starting out on my journey, I would just, walk away. I would go take a break somewhere and just take a moment and say, okay, all right, now what just happened here? Another thing, Frankie, too, just to help you as you're making that pause, the other thing I want to share with you is when you make that pause, the first thought in your mind to not let that short fuse kind of go off is to think about whatever the issue is or whatever the question is, and think about it in a very logical way. So try not to think of it in an emotional way. If someone said something that was completely ridiculous and they upset you, think about what is the issue here? What is really the problem? And then while you're taking your break, just think of it in a logical way, so that when you respond, you're responding from a place of, okay, this was the problem, this is how it needs to be resolved. Or you can respond in a way to where you're very emotional and very mad, and then it automatically will decrease your executive presence. And if you're following me or subscribed to my channel or watching this video, I know that you want to be at that next level in your career. And so I'm sharing with you ways you can build your executive presence, still appear very confident, and be able to manage those situations. Even if you feel like you have a short fuse, you feel like you have it, it's just something that you just have to keep working on every day. Just keep practicing it. People are gonna make you mad every day. They are. This is life, and depending on the type of role you're in, it can be very stressful. So just keep that in mind. So the two things I shared for Frankie, which is very helpful for anybody watching this live today, and I appreciate you, Frankie, for bringing this up, is if you have a short fuse and how you're dealing with people, the first thing you need to do is take your pause. Whatever that pause is, if you need to take a break, you need to walk around, you need to just detract from the situation for a moment, do it. Take your break. And while you're taking your break, take a moment to think about what is the real issue here. What is the real problem in a very logical, non-emotional way? Because when you come back and you need to respond, you want to respond like a leader. You don't want to respond like the followers. The followers are the ones that's going to go, I can't believe this. You don't want to do that. Respond like the leader and show your executive presence, show your confidence. And that is really a great way for you to be able to show confidence under pressure. So I hope that that was very, very helpful for you. Let me see what else was said. So Frankie said, look at it from an outside perspective. Exactly. Take the emotion out. Look at it from the outside. So that's a very good point, Frankie. Thank you so much for bringing that up. That is very, very good. Okay, so who else is here? So we have October. Hello, hello. And we have Master Goofy Productions. Hello, welcome. Let me all know what part of the world you're joining today. Be happy to say hello. So Frankie said, I can't fake confidence. I feel like people see right through it. Well, so actually, I'm glad that you brought this up. So I'm going to go ahead and lead into what I was going to mention to you all about confidence under pressure. Frankie, you brought up some really great insights, and I hope that this information is helpful. If it is, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I do content like this all the time, especially live content. I've been doing a lot of lives recently, so many lives that I've been invited to YouTube's live streamer research panel. And so I'm on that, being able to help shape live streams here on the platform and give feedback and kind of basically help them to make this process even better years to come, or whatever the case may be. So I've been doing a lot of that. But in terms of confidence, it is something that you have to develop. And it's something I talk a bit more about in my coaching program that I have specifically. But one of the things that you can also do is, if you feel like you are you're not as confident, you feel like people can see through it. So from a coaching point of view, as an executive coach, if we were working together, I would say, okay, well, what makes you feel that way? Because you may be projecting yourself as very confident, but internally you feel like you're not. And sometimes imposter syndrome comes up. And a lot of times with imposter syndrome, it affects men and women. Sometimes women a bit more than men, but it affects us all, where we feel like we're not good enough or we haven't done enough and everybody's going to know about it. Well, I can guarantee you there are some things that you've done in your life that have been amazing. And there's some things that only you have done in your life that other people don't have. So whenever you have those doubts and those thoughts in your mind that, I'm just not confident, people are going to see right through me, I want you to take a moment and think about at least 2 amazing things you have done in your life. Whatever those things are, because you want to keep those at the forefront of your mind. Because there is something that you have done that you have some expertise in. Everybody in this world has done something different. Everybody in the world is unique in their own way. So if you can just keep your expertise, what you are very good at, because you're very good at something, I'm sure. Whatever it is that you're good at, keep that at the forefront of your mind all of the time. And just remember that you can do this. You can have this conversation. This is why you watch videos on YouTube. You're here watching my channel to learn more strategies that can help you really go to that next level. So there's ways you can get around that and really develop your confidence. You don't have to fake it. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I don't believe in that at all. Fake it till you make it is the fast way for you to not make it, because people will pick up on it. And so you want to just be that person. Think about your expertise. And if there's areas that you know that you want to improve upon, then do your research. Contact people, get help, get support, get people that have been there, have done that can help you on your journey, because that's really the way to accelerate in your career, is to work with people that have already been there. That's the fastest way, because you're basically, what I'm sharing with you now, and in terms of this conversation, this is my over 20 years of experience in C-suite roles, managers, directors, public speaker. This is over 20 years of experience you're getting in. We're at 14 minutes now. So if you have the opportunity to just lean in on people that have been in these situations before, it will automatically help you move forward. So, okay, great. Frank said, I sub, you're good, real good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really want to be able to provide you all with a lot of value. Now, great dialogue. Appreciate that, Frankie. So I want to finish up with what I was mentioning to you about confidence under pressure when you just don't know what to do. And if any of you that are still here on the live today, feel free to ask me any questions as it relates to that. I will provide you with some insight that will absolutely help you on your journey. Now, I mentioned the first thing that you want to do is get information. So find out who it is that you can trust that will give you reliable information, or if you need to Google something really quickly, or you need to check with ChatGPT, then whatever it is you need to do, you need to get some data because you want to be prepared for whatever meeting it is that you're having. As I mentioned earlier in our live, most of the time, if you're going to a meeting, you probably have some idea in terms of what you're going to be talking about. So just make sure you're prepared. Getting the information as quick as you can is the best way for you to be able to make an informed decision and to be able to speak about something confidently under pressure. Now, the second thing that you'll need to do is to be mindful of what you say. A lot of people make mistakes like this all the time. They will be in a very high stakes, high pressured situation, and they'll say things such as, I don't know, I'm not sure, let me think about it, I have no idea. Those are the words that will absolutely knock your confidence out. And if you're watching this channel, you know I'm not here to help you do that. We want you to elevate and be that executive, have that very strong, unforgettable executive presence, and be that amazing leader that you want to be. So, what are some things that you can potentially say instead of, I don't know, I'm not sure? What I tell my clients to do is what I'm going to share with you. So I'm sharing with you information that I typically share to my clients in a one-on-one setting because I want you all to do very well. And if you're finding value here, feel free to like the video, feel free to subscribe. I appreciate you being here. And if you need some more support and you feel like one-on-one might be better for you, then let me know. Just check out the strategy session that's in the link below in the description. But what you can say as it relates to this particular situation where you just don't know is words that are more affirmative. And in addition to being affirmative, you want to just be honest as you can be. There's certain things that you may not need to say. There's certain information that some of your team, they may not need to know, but you do want to still present yourself as a very authentic, very positive, and very transparent person. So what I have told some of my clients to do when they have those situations where they're trying to show confidence under pressure, when they are not sure what they need to say, is to say what you know, especially when you're in a meeting and you're caught off guard. I have a live video here on my YouTube channel about being caught off guard. You definitely want to check that out. And I would check out the video that talks about thinking on your feet. That's one of my most popular live videos. I think it has the most views out of my lives. So it's a really good video to watch. But back to what you should say what you know and just be honest. So you may say, well, I don't know what to say. Well, I'm going to tell you what to say. One of the things, if you have those situations come up and you're trying to show confidence under pressure, is that you can say, this is the information that I know. Or you can say, what I have been told by these sources that are hopefully credible, this is what the situation is. Or you can also say, I am confident that this information or this process will work based on what you see so far. So I've given you 3 things to say, 3 statements. You can also say, from my perspective, this is going to be the best outcome situation for whatever the crisis is, or the pressure situation or high stakes situation is that you're dealing with, and etc. So those are just a few things that you can say to help you be able to present yourself as being confident under pressure, because oftentimes we're not taught how to do these things, right? We're just taught, this is what you should say, but what happens when you're really dealing with some crisis. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to give you real advice, real strategies. I've been in these situations, so I know how it is when you just don't know what to say. But after watching this video, hopefully you have a pretty good insight in terms of what you want to say. But be very confident, be very affirmative in what you are saying. Say what you know. If there's something that you simply do not know, then you don't necessarily have to say, I don't know. You can say, this is what I do know. I have not been brought additional information about this specific topic, but this is what I do know. So you can acknowledge something that you don't know, but turn that around and say what you do know. So basically what you're doing when you're having these conversations and you're under pressure is that you are acknowledging what was said, acknowledging that you may not have the answers, but you can say what you know. It still will showcase you as being confident, even though, as I mentioned in the title, you don't know exactly what to say. So I hope that information helps you. I still have one more thing I want to share with you, but I want to go through the chat also. So Frankie said, you should be selling this information. Oh, actually, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, right now, I'm here to support you all on your journey. I do have a coaching program that I work with my target audience on. It's called The Real Executive Woman. I do strategy sessions with my subscribers and followers on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. So I have those in the description. If you ever want to get some support and kind of strategize through a few things, then let me know. I'm here to help you. And as I mentioned, this is over 20 years worth of experience. So I want to be able to help you. There's a lot of people on YouTube that are providing guidance and helping people, especially in the coaching world. But a lot of it is theory and a lot of it is fluff. And I'm not about theory. I'm not about fluff. They are helpful in their own ways. But for the audience that I'm working with, I want them to have real strategies, real advice, like real ways to move forward. And especially as a coach, my role is to help you to go to that next level. So Frankie said, no word salads. No word salads, no word salads. So that is word salad is, now see, word salads, I would say about that, why do people do that? And then I'll go into my very last strategy in terms of how you can appear confident under pressure, even if you don't know what to say. So word salads is basically someone saying something when they're under pressure, under intense pressure at that, and they have absolutely no clue, no training on how to do things. And a lot of times word salads will come up if you are not privy or you have not done some form of research ahead of time to prepare you, because you just simply, you don't know what to say. You have no clue what to say. So if you are going into a meeting, as I mentioned earlier, you should, if it's somewhat organized, have some kind of idea as to what are we talking about here, and do a bit of research ahead of time, even if it's just for a few moments on your phone, and work with what you know. Be transparent, be authentic, be honest, but say what you know. The word salads come into play when, one, you haven't prepared for what you're going to talk about, and then two, you get asked a question that's completely ridiculous that throws you off, and you just go on to salad land, I would say. So yes, word salads are not the way to go. This is a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Frankie, because people can do this, and trained public speakers, trained communicators do this all the time. I mean, we see this in the media oftentimes. Word salads will come up where people just say random stuff that just doesn't make any sense. And you don't want to be that person, especially if you're watching this channel. I do not want you to be that person. So this is some of the reasons why I share my experience with you. I've been doing public speaking. I've been on the news before. I've given Florida State congressional testimony. So I've been in those very contentious situations where you need to be very articulate with your words and what you are trying to say, and not have any word salads, because that is a great way to not appear confident under pressure. And it's a great way to decrease and pretty much eliminate your executive presence. So you want to try not to do that. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a really good point. Now, my final strategy that I want to share with you as it relates to appearing confident when you are under pressure is to be mindful of how you say things. I'll give you an example. Someone could know their information. They could know exactly what to say. They could have done their research. They could have took some time and did a bit of research beforehand. They could even say the right words. Give them strategies and say the exact same things that I mentioned to you earlier to help yourself still appear confident even if you don't know what to say. What happens sometimes is that people will change the inflection of their voice, meaning that their voice is either going to go up or their voice is going to go down to answer a question. And that is when people know you're not confident. So I'm going to share with you exactly what you can do I'm going to give you an example of what this looks like. And I want to share with you some things that you can do to prevent that from happening. Are you ready? Okay. So oftentimes with clients I've worked with, when they have those two things checked off, so we have the research and they know what they want to say, but the how is where there's an issue, is that they may say a statement like this. This is what I believe is going to be the best solution, but I'm really still trying to figure this out. So you see what I did with my voice? My voice went up at the very end of it. So even though I said what I need to say, when you put your voice up, it's basically coming across as you're asking a question in your own mind. And if you're trying to appear confident, you don't need to ask a question in your own mind because everybody else is going to see that and they're going to take it as you being not confident. So some people will also do this. Instead of doing an inflection, they may make it to where they're asking a question, or they may even go down. Okay, so let me give you an example of this. They may say, well, based off the information that I have been given, this is really what, I would recommend for us to do. Now, if I said that to you, would you scratch your head and say, does she know what she's talking about? Perhaps. So I see those two variations. People will either elevate their voice and ask themselves a question, and that question is so audible that people hear it and they think, I don't think he or she knows what they're talking about. Or they can actually say something in such a quiet way, they just say it so quietly because they don't know what they're saying and they don't want people to know what they're saying. So you don't want to do either one of those. Both of those will prevent you from appearing confident when you are under pressure, when you don't know what to say. So what are some things that you can do? Keep the same tone of voice. If you are speaking to someone, you've done the other two checks. You've done your research, and then you've also been able to formulate what you want to say and thinking on your feet and etc. Keep the same tone of voice the entire time. Now, there's times when you need to raise your voice, and there's times when you need to lower your voice, and that is definitely more of an advanced type of speaking strategy when you're in a meeting as a leader. And if you want to know more about that, put it in the comments below and I'll do a video just for you on that. But the times when you want to lower your voice or elevate your voice are not at the beginning and not at the end. Those are the first times where people are listening to what you're saying and they're listening to how you're finishing. So keep yourself at an even voice the entire time. A way for you to do this is take a breath. When you are speaking, take a breath and speak. And speak from a place of authority and speak in a tone of voice that people will listen to. If you are speaking to someone and you have like a very, very high-pitched voice, then it may be hard for them to understand. Or if you have a voice that is very, very low, it may be hard for people to understand you. So you have to have that balance where you're not yelling, but you're speaking loud enough to where you are able to articulate your value. I'll give you an example that I've talked about on a collaboration I did here about executive presence. And this is something that you can use today that will absolutely help you when you're in your meetings, especially if you're going into a meeting and you have a lot of people that are talking and you want to be heard. You want your presence to be known. So this is something that's more of advanced for leaders to know too, is how can you get people's attention and when you're going into a meeting. So what I've done in the past, and oftentimes what happens is when people are going into big meetings and they're walking in, a lot of people are just, chattering on the side here and there. And you say hello or good morning, or you may just walk to somebody. What I do and what I've done in the past that has been very noticeable, and that's why I've developed my executive presence to the level it's at now, is I will literally say good morning, but I say it with the big good morning voice, if that makes sense. So I will, instead of saying good morning, how y'all doing? I will say good morning, and I will bring my voice down and bring it up, because people don't have an option but to hear, like, who is that talking by there? And that's exactly what you want to have as a leader, especially when you're developing your executive presence, and especially when you are working with your peers, people that are other leaders with you as well, because you have your teams that you're supporting, but then you also have your actual peer-to-peer leaders too. And you all are trying to work with each other, but you still want to maintain yourself as that professional, as that executive at all times. So I know we went into a lot of information here. Let me just check the comments really quick before I wrap up. Okay, so Frankie said 20 years, you start when you were 12. No, I did not start when I was 12. I've been doing this for 20 years now, for a long, long time. Okay, Frankie said, I blushed real bad, I turned red. Okay, so if you tend to blush when you are talking, there's something going on in your mind that is making you feel like, oh my gosh. And so it's something that you want to work on. The great thing is that you acknowledge that. The fact that you know it is really, really important. A lot of people go through life, go through their journey as leaders, and they don't pick up on those things that they need to improve upon. And that's really what working with an executive coach does, is to help you find out what are those challenges that you might be experiencing or facing that are preventing you from moving forward, to find a fast way for you to get over it. And so if you're blushing a bit when you're speaking, just think about what internally is going on in your head when these situations happen, because there's some things that we could probably work on to help you to be a bit more, maybe calmer in your mind, so that your physical appearance isn't coming off as like red. Now, sometimes if you're just talking and you just turn red, then that might be something else going on that you have to talk to your physician about. But that's something I would say, is just be mindful of what's going on in here when you feel like you're turning red. And that's something I would say in a coaching setting, is what are